Lineal middleweight champion Miguel Cotto versus Timothy the Desert Storm Bradley. Let's go. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Now, I've heard this from actually two sources. One being Fight Hype, and they actually have an article about this. They're basically saying if Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao, which is all up in the air, we don't really know what Mayweather's going to decide, what's going to become of it, or whatever the situation is. We're playing the waiting game. But they are saying if Mayweather and Pacquiao becomes a real life situation and it comes into fruition, we may see Miguel Cotto defend his middleweight titles against Timothy Bradley. Now, I want to spend some time talking about this. And this is a quick disclaimer. This is under the pretense that this is actually true and this fight is made between Miguel Cotto and Timothy Bradley. So, again, it's not set in stone. It's not guaranteed that it will happen. They're talking about making it happen possibly in Cotto's second home of New York, Madison Square Garden, around the Puerto Rican parade. And I got to just say, this is pathetic. And this is going to be shocking because I actually really rate Timothy Bradley and Miguel Cotto very high. Both have very deep resumes, really respected resumes, and I really respect them as fighters. However, in boxing, you got to worry about this little thing called timing. The timing for this fight is all wrong, in my personal opinion. And I'm going to explain in this video why I feel that way. One, Cotto moved up to become the lineal middleweight champion, right? And it's funny because he beat the shit out of Sergio Martinez, beat the brakes off him. I didn't see that coming. I actually picked Martinez to win that fight. Beat the brakes off Sergio Martinez. And people clown Sergio Martinez, obviously. You know what I mean? Got blown out of the water and knocked down. And I made memes and other people were laughing at the ass whooping. But guess what? Sergio Martinez never did this. Like, whether you thought he was fighting bums or not, haha, he was actually fighting top 10 rated people at middleweight, and he's not a big middleweight, just like Cotto's not a big middleweight. But Sergio was fighting guys like Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., who rehydrates to 185, 190, 200 pounds or whatever, and he's young and strong, and he has a chin. He was fighting guys like Martin Murray. Even though I thought he lost that fight, he still took on the responsibility. He fought Darren Barker before he got a ton of losses. Fought the Macklins before Triple G ran through him. So he actually had some credible names. Kelly Pavlik, Sergio Martinez, different things like that on Sergio Martinez's on his resume. But people clown Sergio Martinez, and he actually had some pretty good names. Now, I again, Cotto has a very deep resume, but I don't like the direction his career is turning if this turns out to be true. No disrespect to Timothy Bradley. I rate him, and I think he has one of the best resumes of the active fighters, and I think he's underrated, to be honest. I think a lot of people don't give him enough credit for all of his accomplishments. Fighting the guys that he fought, Kendall Holt, dangerous puncher. He battled adversity time and time again versus Ruslan Provodnikov, versus Pacquiao, two injured legs or whatever the fuck. And again, I rate Timothy Bradley high, but again, the timing is all wrong. You got the fucking lineal middleweight champion, Miguel Cotto, and you're going to fight an undersized, smaller person like Timothy Bradley. Not to mention, if you are going to fight somebody who has never fought at 54 before, or 55 catch weight, or whatever you guys decide, most likely Cotto's not coming back down to welterweight. You know what I mean? I think it's pretty safe to say that. You're going to fight a guy who's not really revered for power, like game changer power. So, like, let's say hypothetically, Cotto's just severely outboxing and the weight's too much for Bradley. Then he has no chance in hell. You know what I'm saying? He can't do no John Molina, Andy Lee miraculous knockout of Cotto, who has never been knocked out cold. He's been TKO'd by Pacquiao and Margarito, but he's never been just stopped and knocked out. And you know what I'm saying, where he's seen stars. So it's not going to happen. Like, you know what I mean? So again, that's the least deadly because Cotto's a very good boxer. That's the least deadly puncher or style, I guess you could say, to move up and face as the middleweight champion. You know what I'm saying? And again, I'm not trying to shit on Timothy Bradley because he's a hell of a fighter. but he's just not the biggest guy either. I think he's even shorter than Pacquiao. He's never fought at that weight, and he's not a big puncher. Versus, like, I would love to see a fight if you were going to fight a welterweight, Kell Brook, fight like Marcos Maidana versus Miguel Cotto. These are good fights because Kell Brook's big as shit at welterweight, and Marcos Maidana, his power moved from 140 to 147 with no problem. So if he went up a little bit more, I think he could pack on a little bit more weight and fight a small 54 like Cotto. You know what I mean? So that's a good fight. Amir Khan just recently said, I would love that. I would take that fight in a heartbeat. So instead of calling his bluff saying like, oh, you don't really want it, you're talking about fighting Timothy Bradley. And again, I'm not shitting on Timothy Bradley, but look at the actual facts. You know what I mean? Amir Khan, he looked good. He won pretty much every round. I don't even think I gave a round to Devin Alexander. Blew him out of the water. He made Luis Collazo look worse than Andre Berto, worse than Hatton. You know what I'm saying? And that's his first two fights at welterweight. And he said, I'll take the fight. You know what I mean? And again, back to the timing, Timothy Bradley came off a Pacquiao loss, arguably two losses. People think he lost to Pacquiao. I do. You know what I mean? I thought it was a closer fight than people gave it credit for, but I still think Pacquiao did enough to win, even though he was only fighting in spurts, my opinion. So a lot of people think he lost that fight. Came back, fought a dumb fight against Ruslan Provatnikov, and by the skin of your teeth, you made it out. And I gave him that fight. I thought Bradley won based on the middle rounds and Ruslan's inactivity getting outboxed in the middle rounds. Then you fought Marquez. You looked good in that fight. And you lost to Pacquiao. And then after that, you fought Diego Chavez, a guy you were really just expected to blow out the water. A headbutt open, like, fucked your eye up or whatever. And I don't agree with the decision, but the decision is the decision, and it ended in a draw. So for Miguel Cotto to face a person with his career at this particular point, that's not no fucking lineal middleweight champion. You might as well just go to Big Bear, ring the doorbell, wait for Abel Sanchez to open that motherfucker, and hand those belts to Gennady Triple G Golovkin. Because that's not the behavior of the lineal middleweight champion, in my opinion. And again, I'm not disrespect. I know some of the diehard Cotto fans probably going to get on here talking shit. I don't give a fuck because I'm going to speak my mind and I'm being honest. I really respect Cotto. You can check my old videos. I've showed him nothing but love. But if he fights Timothy Bradley, for the first time in his whole career, because I've never said Cotto, a lot of people get like, oh, Mayweather ducked or Pacquiao ducked this person. I've never said Cotto has ducked somebody. Except for Triple G, I've kind of hinted to that. But if he fights that, you know what I'm saying? I'm really gonna say he's ducking Triple G and he's ducking Canelo. And that's the other thing. Back to this timing, which is I don't know if you guys see a central theme with this fucking video. Timing. Another reason why the Bradley fight is bad timing, if this is what is next, is you passed up an opportunity with Canelo, not giving him an answer within a reasonable amount of time to fight Saul Canelo Alvarez. So they moved on to another option, and you're going to fight Timothy Bradley. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, that's crazy. Instead of fighting Canelo, you know what I mean? Now it looks like you're ducking Triple G and Canelo if you fight Bradley. Because Canelo, that boy is big. He's big. He's a great inside fighter. It's a fight that is fan-friendly, and a lot of people want to see that, including me. You know what I mean? Actually, to be honest, Mayweather-Pacquiao is the number one fight I was looking to see, and that was number two, Cotto-Canelo, based on the magnitude of the event. They both have a great, crazy fan base that are going to get behind their fighter. They both have a good style. You know what I mean? That was a fight I really wanted to see. So for you to fight that, you know what I'm saying, to fight, and some people could argue, oh, but Canelo, he should have lost to Lara. He's still bigger. He's bigger for the division, and he's at least fought at 54, unlike Timothy Bradley. So, and again, I thought Lara beat Canelo, but his record says otherwise. His record says that he won. So, and it was a close fight anyway. A lot of people scream this robbery shit. The only robbery to me was Levi Martinez's scorecard. That was completely egregious. I don't think that 117 to 111 should have been allowed. But even like realistically, even if people are arguing over a scorecard, but you got to look at it like this. Let's say Levi Martinez had it 115 to 113 for Canelo. Canelo still would have won. You know what I mean? People get flipped out about the scorecard, which again was bullshit. There's no way you could convince me that Canelo won that many rounds. However, even if Levi Martinez had a more realistic scorecard, it's still 2 out of the 3 judges voted for Canelo. He would have won the fight. You know what I'm saying? So again, a more realistic scorecard for either fighter is 115, 113. But if 2 people voted for Canelo, by default, Laura still loses. You know what I'm saying? And again, it's that fight wasn't a robbery fight. They both did good things in different spots. You know what I'm saying? I had Laura winning with my set of eyes, but Canelo, you know what I mean? He turned it up and he was ripping to the body and he looked good on the inside. But I think I just gave it to Laura because he started earlier and he was like kind of confusing and making Canelo miss and stuff like that. So through the totality of the fight, I gave it to Laura. But again, it's a fight where it's a pick'em fight. It's kind of hard to judge, if you will. So again, for Miguel Cotto to be looking at a Timothy Bradley, I'm not understanding it. And again, I rate Timothy Bradley very high. I think there's great fights for him. I would love to see Timothy Bradley versus Amir Khan at 47, Bradley versus Maidana, a Ruslan rematch. There's tons of fights for him. Sean Porter versus Bradley. There's a lot of great fights. The winner of Keith Thurman, Guerrero. I mean, these are all great ass fights for Timothy Bradley. I think his heart is maybe bigger than anything else, and him moving up to 54, I'm just not seeing it. I don't think he has the frame, the respectable power. Them dudes, if you look at a Demetrius Andrade, them motherfuckers like 6 foot, 6'1", looking. He looks even taller than that. He looks like 6'2" or something like that, and he just looks bigger. You look at James Kirkland next to a Canelo, or look at James Kirkland next to Timothy Bradley, and I guarantee you Bradley's gonna look like almost like a midget, like just way smaller. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, man. I don't want to see no Bradley versus Cotto. It could be interesting, but again, drop them belts. That's pretty much the biggest thing in this video. Drop the belts. If you want to fight small dudes, drop the belts. Drop the middleweight belts. That's my biggest hang up. It's not even so much the fight stylistically. You know what I mean? Even though I think there's other fights that should take precedence over that. Fight one of the Charlo brothers, fight Demetrius Andrade, fight a true 154 pounder. But my biggest gripe is Miguel Cotto fighting an undersized guy when he's the lineal middleweight champion. Again, not set in stone. Let me know what you guys think if this were to come to the forefront and actually be made. What do you think of it? Timothy Bradley versus Miguel Cotto. I told you my thoughts. Drop me a comment. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like my video. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off.